content,
Yeah.
you know, Gary Vee,
Yeah,
you guys are
yeah.
gonna put out 20 TikToks a day.
Yeah.
Like, there was none of this shit, bro.
Yeah.
If you went on YouTube, there was no videos. So the first video I ever posted, I was like 14 or 15 years old, like right away 15K views, like no questions asked. I don't even know what I'm fucking here to talk about, but
That's the point. That's
all
it.
right, well,
Prochaine station.
LOWKEY MTL.
Yeah, go for it. So like, how did you get into the whole fashion space in general?
yeah, so I think I'm kind of born into it.
Okay.
When I was like 7 years old, I like bought my first Supreme piece, you know, and this was 15 years ago,
Yeah,
16 years
Supreme.
ago. So I kind of always knew what was going on in that scene, and my dad was in clothing for 30 years.
Okay.
And my
Cool.
mom worked in fashion.
Montreal.
Yeah, in Montreal. My dad was in denim. He was manufacturing jeans, but he was also manufacturing like a lot more stuff. He was doing stuff for Roots. He was doing stuff for Guess, the Chateau at the time.
Mm-hmm. But was it from his father as well, or like was he?
Oh
the
yeah,
one
my
from-
grandfather was in. So
Okay,
it's
okay.
called the Schmata business.
Yeah, yeah. I was
That's
just
the
about to say
clothing,
you're in
yeah.
the Schmata district.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
Garment
that's
district.
where I work. Like I work on Chabanel, and that's
Yeah,
where
yeah.
my dad worked, and it's where my grandfather worked, and
Mhm.
you know, different offices, but it's yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
because
we
I
did it
heard
for a
back
while.
then like they would just bring everybody there and then you just go shopping.
Yeah, well, Montreal was a major textile city. You know, there was a
Mhm.
huge manufacturing scene here. Like everything was being made here.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that shifted. Like now, everything's made overseas.
Yeah.
But hopefully, it's coming back. We'll see. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a little bit of like what I'm trying to explore now. Kind of bringing manufacturing back here,
Mm-hmm.
like the fleece that we did with WUN-OFF back in January.
Mhm.
That was manufactured entirely locally.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Everything.
everything was made here. Like the fabric was imported from the U.S., but it was made in the U.S. fabric.
Mm-hmm.
All the other fabrics were made here. Even the color that we used was the same fabric that Arc'teryx uses. So I found like the
Oh shit.
manufacturer,
Okay, dope.
and I sourced. So yeah, it was all entirely made here, and I quickly realized why it's impossible to make stuff here. Like there's no reason to make stuff here anymore unless you really want to break your head, and that's at the core of your brand. And I really hope that changes and that there's a shift that starts happening
Mhm.
and everyone starts making stuff here again, so that it becomes easier. Because there's a reason people go overseas, you know. It's
Mhm.
just
cheaper
like,
and
it's a one-stop
easier
shop.
too,
Like
yeah.
it's like you go to one place and they deal with the whole headache. Like you try to do that here. I was driving around the city in my convertible with 2 rolls of fabric hanging out the back of my car, going on the highway, shit's flying everywhere. And it's
Yeah.
like, you know what the hell's going on? You go to one guy who sends you to another guy who sends you to another guy.
It's not something you can
Yeah,
just
yeah.
Google, right?
Bro, there's
Yeah.
there's not enough knowledge on this. Like to be honest, it's such a gate kept game.
Mm-hmm.
Like people really you really have to hunt for the knowledge. Like of all industries I've like experienced, I mean, fashion's the one I've delved in by far the most, but like it's so gate kept. Like it's really like people do not reveal much information.
Mm-hmm.
I'm lucky to like be able to speak to my dad and and his friends, but even at that, what they were doing is nothing to do with what I'm doing now.
Right.
These guys were more like manufacturing for other people, and like they
Mhm.
were building different kind of stuff and in these major quantities. And I'm
Yeah, it's not like custom pieces.
no,
right?
my
But-
stuff's a lot more customized, and
Yeah.
it's also like the quantities are so small that
It's
I'm
scarce.
not making 20,000 units
Yeah.
for winners here. I'm making tiny quantities, so
Yeah.
it's just like it's very, very difficult because you then have to convince people to be like, no, it's okay, work with me, even though my quantities are tiny.
Mhm.
You're like, well, there's no money in it for me, and you're like,
Mhm.
just help me out, you know?
Yeah.
So
They,
there's a bit
like
of a-
it's unless they see like a long-term vision of some sort. But even that for them as a business, it's like a risk. Or like, why would they put time into
for
that?
the
right?
most part, they don't give a shit.
Yeah.
It's the reality. Like you really want to believe they see a long-term vision, but a lot of these guys are old school.
Mhm.
So you got to find the select few. It's really a hunting process. Like sourcing is 50% of the battle, you know?
Mhm. So when you were creating the whole fleece project, like you had that in mind from the jump, like, oh, it's gonna be all just made from Canada or like North America, I guess.
Yeah, we kind of knew we wanted to do that because I really wanted to use this fabric called Polar Tech, which
Yeah.
is like the same fabric that like Supreme or like Palace or like any other sick like Arc'teryx, like any other sick streetwear brand uses Polar Tech fabrics.
What is Polar Tech?
So like Polar Tech is like pretty much undoubtedly like the best fleece there is in the world.
Okay, so it's fleece. Yeah.
It's like it's a polar fleece fabric, and it's like it's they have made in the USA and they have made in China. I got the USA shit because I'm just trying to be a little bit cleaner.
So is like the blend of that like patented, and no one could kind of like, you got to always get it from the people that make it?
Well, it's all made, yeah. So Polar Tech fabric is all made in Massachusetts, like the USA fabric, and it's like, you know, it's milled in a very specific way. Like there's a very sophisticated technique to make it, and it feels a very certain way, and it washes and holds. It holds its shape a certain way, right? So when you find vintage Polar Tech pieces from the 80s and 90s, they're still in incredible shape and they still feel so good, right? So that was the goal. I want people to be able to see this piece in 30 or 40 years, and when they find it, they're like, holy shit, there's something here. You know, it still feels great. So the second I knew I wanted to use Polar Tech fabric, it was like, okay, I gotta make everything in Montreal, because from there, it's very complicated to, you know, get the fabric and send it overseas and have somebody make it there. And then there's all of the other fabrics that go into it and everything else. So
are you giving yourself a deadline when you start these projects? Like, I'm going to get it done by this?
Yeah, we have crazy deadlines and they never work. Like, right.
Especially if you're trying to like source things.
Yeah, it's fucking insane, man. The issue is, bro, like deadlines are problematic in this world, in this business, because you can give yourself as much of a deadline as you want, but a lot of manufacturing you can't control. Like you could put as much pressure as you want, but at the end of the day, if the sample is shit, the sample is shit. You got to go back to sampling. That takes time. It's other people doing it, not you, you know?
Yeah.
And then if the production run takes longer because there's a delay in wherever you're getting it from, you know, when I was making these fleeces, since I made them in Montreal and it was during COVID, all of the seamstresses left the factory. They're just like, fuck it, we're going to get paid more at home. Why would I work? Yeah. So we had 2 girls in the factory working, and one day the guy told me, "Oh, sorry, your sample's gonna be delayed 3 days." I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "Yeah, one of the seamstresses was doing the dishes at work, and she cut her hand." Like you know what kind of factors you have to control for that shit? It's just like, how can you see that coming? You know, it's like, wow, one seamstress cut her hand, and that's the difference. You try to do this overseas, they have 1,000 of them. You think they give a shit that one person cut their hand? They'll put someone else in there.
Yeah. And so, they're still pulling up to work even if they cut their hand because they're trying to make that money, you know?
Yeah, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah. So that's the thing. It's pretty fucked like that. But I like the way you drop stuff with WUN-OFF.
Thank you.
Because it's like even that whole thing. Like, did you have like a process of ideating like how this brand is gonna be before you like started dropping things, or did it kind of happen naturally?
Well, this brand, I can give you a little bit of a history of how it came to be. Like starting a clothing brand is kind of something I knew I wanted to do for a while, but I was waiting for like the calling, like the right reason, because there's like, if you go on Instagram today, there's like 18 million clothing brands and they're all selling the same shit. And it's just like, what's the difference from one to another? You know, what's the real value? Like what makes them special, you know? And there isn't much of a difference in my opinion. It's not to be a hater.
It's usually the brand behind it. Like, so if you're like an influencer, for example, you could start creating merch and like,
exactly. But like, you know, some people have real value to provide and others don't. Like I just think like there's a lot of, it's a very diluted ecosystem for clothing right now. And I do think that there's some unbelievable brands right now, like that are floating around, but they're being like, you know, washed out by all of the other brands that are just existing, trying to do the same shit with no real direction. It's just like, oh, I like this design. It looks sick. Let's put it on a t-shirt. And then like they do that like over and over again with no direction. And I think it's amazing to start off and do that, you know, and start printing. And just because you like something and you want to feel it out, that's great. But at a certain point, like, there needs to be a value added. There needs to be a brand. There needs to be a reason. It's got to be more than just what the product is, you know? So the way WUN-OFF started, it actually started first as a brand called Global Oval, which is, it's this sticker right here. So it's like this like Global Oval symbol. And I could kind of tell you how that came about. So
Global Oval?
Global Oval, yeah.
Global Oval, okay.
Yeah. So 4 or 5 years ago, my business partner Halal was scrolling through Instagram, and he came across that egg that egg picture on Instagram that got like 50 million likes. Remember that?
That broke the internet.
Exactly. So like that was like, oh, okay, it's the egg that beat Kylie Jenner's like record. She had the most likes, whatever. So it was this whole thing. And so my partner Hillel texts me, he goes, yo, come to the second floor, McGill, right now. Come. I just bought the domain for the eggcompany.com and the egg that beat Kyler. The egg that beat Kylie.com. And I'm like, okay. So I go, he's like, bro, you seen this egg on Instagram? I'm like, yeah, I saw it. I don't even understand what the fuck's going on, but I saw it. And he's like, yeah, I bought these domains. Like, bro, we got to do something with this, man. I'm like, okay, what do you want to do? He's like, okay, we're gonna make these hoodies, and it's gonna say the egg that beat _. And the underscore is kind of just like left up to interpretation. So it could be the egg that beat adversity, the egg that beat Kylie, the egg that beat.
So like kind of like a dash. Kind
yeah,
of thing?
yeah, exactly. Like it's like a Mad Libs to fill out, so to speak. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole catch was we wanted to take these hoodies, and for every hoodie we sell, we found like a person to partner with who makes like these care packages for homeless people. So like socks, like all kind of like a little survival kit, socks, like toothpaste, etc. And we wanted to give back one of those care packs for every single hoodie that we sold.
Okay.
So, we had this idea, whatever, and out of nowhere, we're like, okay, we're just gonna fucking do it. So we put all of McGill aside. Like this was like our first semester at McGill. We put everything aside. We didn't give a shit. We're just like, let's just go all in on this. Cool. So we started reaching out to a shit ton of people. We reached out to like every like big YouTuber there was, and we started getting answers. Like we had sent out like over 215 emails that were like very detailed, tailored emails to each person that we knew they would open.
Mm-hmm.
And we got on a call with Mr. Beast's manager, and we started speaking to him. We went back and forth, and at the end of like the hour phone call, we're just like, okay, look, this is what we want to do. We want you to promote the hoodies, and we think we're going to be able to sell a lot of hoodies with you. So like say we sell like 50,000 hoodies, you can give back 50,000 care packs on your YouTube channel. It could be a crazy YouTube video, that's very in line with what you do, because he's like this big philanthropist.
Right.
And he's like, yo, the idea is sick. Like he loved it, all of this stuff. He's like, it's great. Gets back to us. He's like, yeah, that'll be 150K. And we're just like, oh, okay. Now we see how it is. Like, so a lot of people post to be philanthropists, but like, where's the real philanthropy at?
Right.
And for us, we weren't gonna make any money. We were literally just gonna put the margin straight into buying these care packs. Like we didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
We just thought we had this interesting.
It was like
idea.
an exposure thing for you guys, right?
Yeah, it was just this idea we had, And so we're like, shit, okay. Then we went to an investor, and we're like, look, like we need some money, all of this stuff. And he's like, well, where's your infrastructure? And like we're like, what do you mean infrastructure? He's like, well, like what's your setup? Like where's your manufacturing, and like where's your website to sell and your client?
Are you going to multiple investors, or is this like the first?
This is the first investor we went to.
Okay.
We were just figuring all of this shit out.
Yeah, because usually you're on a run. Yeah. Hit up a bunch of investors.
This was all this all happened in the span of like 4 days so far.
Right.
It was like we were going turbo mode. Like we didn't give a shit. We put everything aside.
Yeah, you just got inspired and you're like on
exactly.
it. Yeah.
We just went for it. So we're really excited about this. Whenever we get into this meeting, this investor, all this stuff, he's like, where's your infrastructure? Like, where's your website? Where's your anything? Like, and we're just like, well, we don't have one. He's like, okay, so get an infrastructure. And we're like, shit, okay. And then in the meanwhile, the trend kind of dies out. A few other people get back to us that we had hit up, but we can tell it's a little bit of the same vibe. And then Fire Festival came along 4 or 5 months later, that documentary that came out that showed like the lady in the village that made all of that food for all of the people in the documentary. She got fucked over. Yeah. So we thought like, oh, it'd be great if we made these t-shirts. And for every t-shirt we sold, we gave back all of the proceeds to that lady to pay off like that $50,000 debt that she had basically amassed.
Right.
So we had reached out to one of the guys in the documentary because he was like an Israeli guy and my partner speaks Hebrew. So he started DMing him in Hebrew on Instagram. And he's like, yo, this is the idea. This is what we're trying to do. He's like, okay, sick idea. Where's your infrastructure? And we're just like, well, fuck, we don't have an infrastructure, So what do? So at this point, we realized we kind of needed to build out a brand. And we realized there was a common trend. It was always about something in pop culture, right? Like the Egg Fire Festival. And it was always about finding a way to give back to the youth. It was like philanthropy through products, right? We wanted to make these products that we would sell to the youth, and we wanted to comment on pop culture that was very youth-based pop culture. So it was all about, bridging the gap between fuck, I'm like forgetting my old mission statement that we had for the brand. But it was just about like, you know, inspiring the youth basically to give back and teaching them how to give back in like an actual fun way. Because nowadays, if you give a kid like $50 and tell him to give back, he doesn't know where the fuck to go.
True. But like, so where's the like? So that's more like like a brand building thing, right? You're not really like trying to make a profit off that, because if you're just
this was just building out a brand.
Right. Okay.
But we realized like, you know, eventually we'd want this to be profitable.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And we realized like it was a very, very cost intensive project and there was a lot of issues with it. So we decided like this was going to be like, we started building out this whole brand. It was called Global Oval, and this was like the whole infrastructure and all of that stuff. And when we realized it didn't really make sense to do it like fully non-profit and it wasn't sustainable, we said, okay, we're going to build this spin-off brand and it's going to be called WUN-OFF. And this will help fund the Global Oval. That was the whole idea.
Okay.
And so what WUN-OFF does is, you know, we do streetwear in pop, based on like themes in pop culture. And then we give back a toy for every product we sell, which is something that we don't even really promote. Like it's low key on our website if you want to like find it, but it's not like really something front facing with our brand. And the reason for that is because like we want people, like we want the youth to buy into our products because they like the products and they like the story that we're trying to tell. And then subtly, without realizing it, they're giving back at the same time. And in this way, one day they're going to learn that they've been giving back this whole time, and it's going to be something.
If anything, it's like exactly. It's like a bonus on it.
But it's not the reason to buy our products.
Right,
you know?
right.
It's just something subtly there that's like, we also happen to do this, by the way. You know.
So do you see like WUN-OFF is like one of the brands, like, or maybe it's your only brand? I don't know. Like, but you do other stuff too, right?
I do a bit of other stuff, but in terms of brands, it's pretty much the only one.
Yeah, okay. It's because or else you really get spreading yourself thin and shit.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
But what I really liked also was like the YouTube video you put out of like breaking down everything, and you did it smart, because like usually it's like you said, it's gated, and you don't want to like have bigger corporate companies just steal your shit and steal your ideas and your designs. So it's smarter to just get it done, release it, and then release a video on how you did everything step by step.
Yeah.
Like, what was the idea behind that? Did you already know you were going to do that while you were like, because you were documenting everything?
To be honest, bro, like I had fucked up because I was on YouTube, what was it, 6-7 years ago now? And it was just like in high school, I was just making these videos about streetwear. And it was at a time where it wasn't this whole like phase of like, oh, content, you know, Gary Vee, you guys are going to put out 20 TikToks a day. Like there was none of this shit, bro. If you went on YouTube, there was no videos. So the first video I ever posted, I was like 14 or 15 years old, like right away 15K views, like no questions asked.
It was also like a niche video, right?
What's that?
It was like a niche video? Like...
Yeah, it was like all streetwear related stuff, like pickups and all of that stuff. And it was kind of just like right away, like, you know, there was a lot of traction because there was barely anyone posting. And I knew I just had something to say. So I put out a lot of videos and I started gaining a following and all of that. And I was really having fun. And then, I don't know, somewhere along the line, I got kind of lazy and I was just like, I'm not really down to make videos anymore. But like my buddies on YouTube who had stayed making those videos and started around the same time as me, like my buddies over the world, now have these like major followings and they have brands that sell out everything right away.
Like who? Give me an example of somebody.
Like my buddy Kyron, for example. I don't know if you know Kyron Work, God's Wage Productions. Anyways, he's from Montreal and he has like close to 100,000 subscribers now. And
what kind of content does he?
He does very similar to what I was doing, which was just like, you know, like pickups for streetwear, like styling stuff. A lot of very niche content, very well curated. Like he understands his audience super well.
Right.
And you know, he's gained quite a following off of that, and like, you know, people really like value his opinion because it's backed by something very legitimate that he's built up over time. Yeah, shout out Karen. He's a great guy, by the way. I work with him all the time. Like he
and he just stayed in Montreal. Like
he's in Montreal. But I mean, his he started probably maybe a few months before me, a year before me. We actually have a couple of videos together back in the day. On my channel. But
so I see YouTube channels like that too, like a documentation channel, like especially if it's your personal channel. I kind of have that too. Like I have a documentation channel, but like you have those like waves of like not being in it. And then like being in it, like you don't, if you have the idea of like, I gotta put one a week, then it becomes like a job and then you don't want to fucking do it anymore, you know? But even if it's once in a while and it's like quality content, then I feel like it's still valuable, you know?
For sure. But that was it. So it was just like, I knew that like, if I was going to get back into YouTube, whatever I was going to put out, I needed to make sure it was just like pure value. Like I don't want to dilute the system more. There's just too much shit, bro. There's too many videos. There's too much content. And I don't believe in this whole strategy of just like content.
Yeah.
Just like I really believe in value always. Value is number one for me. So it's just like if I am gonna put out something, it's really got to be saying something. So I saw a little bit of a gap because in streetwear everyone's gatekeeping everything, and no one's speaking about their manufacturers. And there's no streetwear brands that are telling you how to make shit. Like I had to struggle so hard to find out everything that I know, and I barely know shit, to be honest. And so I was just like, why am I going to let people waste their time? So I made this video, and I'm just like, I'm going to show step by step every single manufacturer I used, every single detail, going on Illustrator from A to Z about how I made this shit, for a streetwear brand, and really show you the internals of how this shit operates.
Yeah, you literally didn't leave anything out.
Oh, no, nothing. Nothing. And I'm going to keep doing this for all of my manufacturers. So like there's going to be tons of value to provide for people. And I posted this on like a streetwear startup group in Reddit. It's called r/streetwear startup. So it's literally all these clothing brands that are, bro, like right away, like the reaction was crazy. It was just like everyone was like, holy shit, like I can't believe you did this. Who does? It's like, this is what the gatekeeping is. This is what fashion is. It's become this narcissistic game,
Yeah, it's like you always think like everybody's like against you, and like
exactly.
Like, you don't realize that by creating content like that, you're gonna cause more like doper brands to come out of it.
100%, bro. And I think like for example, if you look at a guy like Virgil, like that's a lot of what he was doing, right? Like at the end of it, he published this page on his website called Free Game, and it was how to start a clothing brand step by step. And it was literally here's all these video links. So that was like a step into that, But I want to take it like a notch deeper and like literally show like these are the guys you should use. You should not use these people. They're shit.
Yeah. But then don't you feel like you would become like kind of like a gatekeeper on your own, in the sense of, say you get to a bigger state and you get to choose who works with who, in a sense, Well,
that's a good problem to have. Let me get
that's
there.
True, yeah.
Let's get there first.
That's true.
That's true. Sure. I mean, listen, it's also just people could choose to listen or not to listen.
Yeah, that's true.
Everyone's got something to say. Like it's just like listen to what you want,
So besides WUN-OFF, you DJ as well, which is kind of random. But like, well, I mean, I don't know if it's random. I feel like you've done that.
Well, like the whole DJing thing is that's a bit in the blood also, I guess. So my uncle, who lives in Paris, has been like DJing his whole life.
Okay.
Like since he's a kid.
Okay, dope.
And so like house music has just always been like, around. Like I've been listening to house music for as long as I could remember. And I was always very intrigued by DJing, but I never like actually like, took the leap into it for a while. And I knew I had like good track selection. At least I thought I had good track selection. Like I knew how to find good music that would make the crowd move, and I knew how to read a crowd really well. So, when I started working a lot with Halal and then my other buddy Will, and I was just surrounded by all of these people who DJ, it was very easy to just pick up, Like it didn't even feel like much of a challenge. It was very natural. Like I just kind of just started like watching them for so long that like when I went on it was just
you just like figured it out.
Yeah, it was like pretty easy. So like for me, it's purely for fun. Like it's not nearly as serious as it is for a lot of my friends. Like I will not take on gigs that like I'm not down to do. Like it's not about the money. It's literally just like, oh, okay, like this gig is like the right gig. Like I'm able to play the music I want to be playing. I can bring my crowd. I'm down as fuck.
Yeah.
So
you're just doing it more to just have like the satisfaction of like controlling a crowd, in a sense.
Well, no, it's just like it's just like a really special feeling when you're able to go to like a venue and like you're able to play the music you want to be playing and people are responding.
That's what I'm saying. It's like the hypnosis of it.
Like, exactly. And like you're creating an atmosphere, It's just like everyone's kind of just like vibing together. Everyone's having a really good time. Yeah.
But I feel like it's a dope spot to be, like dope avenue to be in like while you have your WUN-OFF thing going on too, because like it's all like, same road,
So what WUN-OFF is doing is like okay, so give you an idea. Supreme makes clothes for skaters. Arc'teryx makes clothes for hikers. WUN-OFF makes clothes for entertainers. That's the whole thing.
Okay.
And specifically, we're really niching in on like DJs.
Okay.
So like a lot of people like a lot of DJs, like a lot of very cool DJs that are like, make some of the best music and play some of the best music, dress like they shop at TJ Maxx. It's a fucking disaster. Okay. So there's just a major opportunity to like to dress these DJs super well and make DJing related products in a very subtle way. You know, it's not front facing by any means, but like we want to tie in a lot of DJing aspects to our brand. So for example, one of the things we started now is called WUN-OFF Radio.
Okay.
So for every collection we release, we're going to try to do this like sort of one-off radio event where based off of the theme of the collection, so like for example, one of the upcoming collections, the theme is speed and it's about impulsivity and all of that.
Right.
We want to bring in a DJ that matches the vibe of the theme of the collection. So that would be like a faster BPM, like higher paced, more spastic DJ, and throw an event where people who either bought the products from the collection or like an invite only list of our friends are able to come and then listen to this live set in a sort of boiler room style, maybe shop the collection a bit as well. And we would then record that set, live stream it on YouTube, and then we would also put it on our SoundCloud. And that would be the one-off radio, and that's the idea. And then we amass all of these different sets from all of these cool different DJs with a diverse,
And they're all like one-off sets too.
Exactly. And then they would all be related to a different collection. And that would start, tying in a very subtle way, DJing a lot more to the clothes that we're making, right?
Yeah, 100%. Did you guys look into NFTs at all?
Well, we did an NFT. Back in.
Yeah, was October. It the comic book thingy?
Yeah, well, we did. So we did an NFT project called Angry Anglers.
Right,
that was the biggest learning experience ever. And then the whole idea was we basically wanted to make like this poster that explains how to make NFTs. We're just like, what position are we in to explain how to make an NFT if we haven't done it ourselves? So we just made an NFT, and then that was the whole learning process.
So you guys did like the typical like series of like characters, Angry Anglers.
Yeah.
And then how did you guys hook up with Mark Cuban?
Oh yeah, that was. So we weren't like, we were basically working with his company. Like we didn't speak directly with Mark Cuban, but that was a very hectic, very interesting few weeks. It all just kind of happened really fast. But it was through a friend of mine that was, very deep into this NFT space, and he connected me with all these people. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then you like the company was kind of backing your project.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, was it a success? Like, I wasn't really following up with it.
So it was just like this very interesting learning experience. Like that's really the way I put it.
It's such early stages right now.
Like NFTs are like very fresh, and like we were just understanding it, and like it was all just happening very fast. Was it a success? It depends what you quantify as a success, But it was crazy, man. We even threw this event at Bar George that was like part of the roadmap for the NFT. And we had like 150 people come dress up in like suits and dresses, like the highest class, like dressing like people dress the fuck up like you were dressing for prom, And we did like this big poster reveal at the event, and it was cool. We had Forrest and Matt Kaiser DJ it.
Okay, sick.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah. And we did like this big after party at apartments, and we had like everyone showing up to the apartment in suits with their little pins from the event. Yeah, it was cool.
Is that the one you guys did like a photo shoot at and stuff?
Yeah, well, there was we set up like this little camera station, so people can come and take pictures. We figured,
very like Hollywood vibes type of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It was dope. Speaking of apartment, like I remember there was like an event when Nelk Boys came into town.
Oh yeah.
How did that whole thing happen?
That was more my partner's doing than mine.
Okay.
But so what we did was Halal had heard that like the Nelk Boys were coming into town, and Halal has like this skill of like basically finding anyone's number. So he found Kyle Forjard's number, who's like the head of Nelk.
Yeah. And he just found his number like that?
Yeah, he found his number. And he texted him, and he's like, "Yo, I heard you're coming to Montreal tomorrow." And he actually answered the text, and 99% of these texts that he sends to people, they never answer, right? Because they're usually big people and all of that stuff. But Kyle actually answered. He's like, yeah, I'm coming. They started going back and forth, and I was like, look, like, I'm a big DJ in Montreal. I host at all of these different clubs, and we're down to host you. So we opened up École Privée on a Tuesday night, which normally it's only open Thursday through Friday through Saturday. And it was fucking insane, bro. It was mayhem. There was like 1,000 people outside.
Yeah, I saw. And then there's like the after parties and like after parties.
And we threw like this it was like 400 people. Like we fucking organized it all within a day. That was the craziest part. And then we went out to lunch with them. We started speaking to them, sort of understood what was going on a little bit behind the scenes. And then when we left, it was at like a Gentile in Westmount. When we left the place, like there was like 300 fans outside. It was like, it was insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really crazy.
What did you guys talk about at the dinner? Like, what was the dinner, more to like organize the event or what?
It was just to like, you know, they wanted to eat and they were just like, oh, tell us where to go. And that was a little bit.
And them coming to Montreal was really random too, right? Was it because this?
Yeah, there was like some sort of casino sponsor of some sort that they had to.
Oh, okay.
For. Yeah, that's like what people don't know. That's why they were like on the event banner and shit.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, shit. But like for NFT wise too, just to bring it back, yeah, you had that project and all, but do you see, like, looking forward, do you see an incorporation of that in that whole world?
Yeah, well, I think that, like, you know, eventually we'll get to a point, like, already, like, we accept cryptocurrency. Like, that's something not many people know, but you can check out crypto. But
like what? Like any crypto or Bitcoin?
I think it's like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple. I don't know. It's like a few that Shopify offers.
Okay,
it's run on Shopify, and Shopify has a Coinbase extension that allows you to accept.
I didn't even know that. I didn't even know Shopify had that.
Yeah. So, I'm sorry. What was your question?
Yeah. Are you looking into like the NFT space at all, like for merch?
Yes. Okay. So, I think eventually, when the timing is right, you know, a lot of our products are going to be tokenizable. So, like when you buy a hoodie, you get this, you get this NFT of the hoodie as well. And then, you know, it's able to incorporate in some way into a digital world of some sort, you know, whether that's like a sandbox or like one of those like metaverse worlds where, you know, I mean, to be honest, I think the metaverse is a bit of a fluff word that's a little bit overinterpreted, but, you know, whether it's like one of those kinds of metaverse worlds where you're able to, you know, have this sort of like Sims like digital character and he's wearing your clothes, that's a little bit of the idea.
Right.
And there's going to be other benefits to owning it, you know?
Yeah, it's like you could have like even like a barcode or like a QR code on the hoodie itself that you scan and then like
you figure something out exactly.
Yeah. That's dope. Have you ever thought of like YouTube for one-off or like YouTube, like documenting like things? You're kind of documenting in a sense, but like more documenting like the building process of what you're building,
so
etc.
Like, I think that's gonna be done more on like our personal channel. So like on my YouTube channel, you know, I'm going to be like posting a lot of like what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So like this is like, you know, like for example, how the fleece was made and shit like that. But like my YouTube channel is going to be like made in a way, like all of the footage I've been filming over the last couple months is just going to be like more of this vlog style thing where it might be like, you know, 2 minutes where I'm showing myself designing stuff like that and speaking with Halal and like, you know, collaborating. And then like 3 minutes where the samples come in and we look over them. And then 2 minutes when we're at the club. And, you know, some crazy artist comes in and like we're getting the energy going, and then another 3 minutes, a crazy conversation with somebody very interesting.
Right.
And it's a little bit, that's a little bit of the style. So it's going to be showing what's going on behind the scenes at WUN-OFF in my life. And I think like that's a little bit to the extent of how YouTube is going to work its way in. But besides that, like I think the YouTube channel is really just going to be for those live streams of the WUN-OFF radio sets.
Right. Okay, dope.
Yeah.
And say you were to move like to a different country, like would you stay in Montreal to build this, or would you?
No, probably not.
Yeah,
probably not. I think that there's a lot more damage to be done in Montreal, and it's always going to be the home city. But there is going to be a point, maybe in a year or two, where we need to like, you know, just expand a little bit beyond that. Like last summer, we went to LA for 2 months, and that's actually a crazy story. So. Last January, not 5 months ago, but last January of 2021, yeah. Fucking COVID.
Yeah, COVID just fucked it all up.
Yeah, it just warps everything. Halal and I, we wanted to go to LA because we were speaking to tons of people out there that were helping us out with stuff related to WUN-OFF. And we wanted to take a little business trip for a week or two. And LA was closed because it was like super locked down with COVID and all the BLM stuff. So
I heard it was getting dangerous there too. That time,
it was getting fucking crazy. It was like insane. So it's like, shit, we can't go. Let's go in May. So like, okay, we'll go in May. So this is 1 year ago. Actually, wow, it's crazy how time flies. But anyways, so we're like, okay, we're gonna go in May. And this time, instead of going just the two of us, why don't we try to organize it so we invite a bunch of people? Okay, so. Maybe a month and a half before we start hitting up people, like in April, we hit up like 50 people. Like, yo, you down to come to LA, all that stuff. Everyone said no. Okay, it was supposed to be just Halal and I.
Just 2 like friends wise, you're asking?
Yeah, friends, like just interesting people.
Yeah, okay, cool.
And then 2 weeks before we leave, people start saying yes. One person says yes, 2 people says yes. At the end of it, we had 14 yeses on top of Hillel and I. So we found this crazy fucking crib in Beverly Hills. We were splitting it like 16 ways. We stayed in this house that we were supposed to stay in for 3 or 4 weeks. We ended up staying 2 months in LA. And it was the most insane 2 months ever. Yeah,
I feel like in LA you're always in a place where you're just gonna meet more people like in that world, you know?
Yeah, and I think we just realized with LA, like I wouldn't live in LA because, you know, it's got its own set of problems. But I think we realized with LA that, like, to answer your question, like it's just like there's so much more opportunity, like, to scale in a big way. Like I think Montreal is a great place for a creative to start off because it's very cheap to like do things here. Like you can easily get access to graphic design work for cheap, or a photo studio, or video, or this, that, or the next thing, or modeling, whatever it is. And when you try to do that, like in New York or LA, it's fucking insane.
Right.
But I think once you start off, in order to grow, like these cities are just like, it's 10x, 100x, the transaction size, the volume size, the views, the this, the that, the exposure, you know?
There's way more people out there too.
It's crazy. Like there's nothing to do, and the people you meet are just bigger, and it's just what it is, you know? So it's part of playing the game. And yeah, I think eventually, you know, maybe New York, I think would be the spot I'd like to go to.
For sure, yeah.
A good 6 months.
If you're in the fashion world, for sure, yeah.
100%, man. There's New York's crazy, bro. It's like the energy is like you walk into that place, man, and it's just like everything is there. Like you're into rabbits who eat snakes, like the most niche shit ever. There's a group of people like you know? You're into whatever the fuck you're into, there's somebody for you. And the crazy thing with New York is that everything is at your fingertips. If you have enough influence, or you have enough power, you know the right people, or you work hard enough, or you want it badly enough, there's always going to be a way for you to get what you want, you know? Yeah. Whereas sometimes in smaller cities like Montreal, that stuff's just not there. There's just none of it. You know?
Yeah, there's just no, that's why you got to go elsewhere for it. But that's why I also feel like eventually it's just going to be like a very connected world, in the sense that like people are not going to always just be in one city. They're going to be always like moving around. Like you're never going to always be in one spot, you know? You're going to come back to Montreal in the summer maybe, and then like be somewhere else, you know?
But I think that's the idea, you know? Like that's kind of the lifestyle I'm trying to build out now. The reality is, like, you know, WUN-OFF does not make any money. It's just it's a work in progress, and eventually when we bring it to a point where it does, more opportunities are going to open up, hopefully. Yeah. But I definitely want to be living in Montreal like in the summer, and then in the winters get the hell out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, I mean, you see it right now, right? Like I went to this K-Toronto concert yesterday at Picnic, and it was just like the city had nothing to do with what it was 4 months ago when I was walking in the streets, and it's like freezing cold, and it's just like you just don't, like, you're just sad, you know? Yeah. And no, like, what the hell am I doing here?
No sunlight, and you're just fucking freezing your ass off.
It's depressing. Like it's so depressing.
Everything moves slower. Like you're driving slower, you're walking slower, and like it's a nightmare.
What a game changer! Like this summer, it's like if this city was like this all year round, it would be like I feel like it'd be the craziest city in the world.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Like I don't think there's anything I'd be able to compare. It wouldn't come close, you know.
Yeah, and that's why you saw like a lot of people going to Tulum and like fucking Miami as soon as winter hit, especially during COVID because of all their lockdowns and shit.
I went to Miami, bro. I went a couple times.
Yeah, and it's like a different world out there, right?
Bro, Miami's a simulation. It's not even a real fucking place, bro. You're in GTA over there.
Yo, legit. Yeah, I want to go so bad. I want to go to Miami and LA. Those are 2 spots I want to hit up soon.
Yeah, Miami's crazy, bro. But if I can make a recommendation, I wouldn't just go like that. I would go for like Music Week.
Yeah, or like Art Basel or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, that was what I was thinking too, like something like that.
Like Music Week in Miami was absolutely insane.
Yeah,
it was insane.
Oh, true. Yeah, you went with Connor, right? Exactly. Yeah. And then there's like the you guys saw Hot Since '82 and all that shit.
Bro, we saw everyone. Yeah, it was never seen anything like that. Like I didn't realize how much, how high my appreciation for like certain DJs and like certain music was. Like, you know, I attended this set there. It was like a Archie Hamilton B2B East End Dubs house set. Like every single song they played, man, like, you know, we had been there for like 6 hours already. It was like 6 a.m. Our backs were broken. We were like physically innate, like disabled, like we were done. And bro, every song they played was hitting so hard. We ended up staying till like 9.
Yeah, you just can't leave.
No, we couldn't leave.
I feel like the sets out there are different too. Like DJs are performing a little better out there. You know?
Yeah, I mean it depends. Like, you know, here we have stereo, thank God.
True.
Which is like, you know, that's like a, you know, it's it's crazy. It's like the best sound system in North America, and we just have that in Montreal. And like, you know, my buddy was telling me actually when there was this DJ collective called Mason Collective that's really blowing up now. And when they were in Montreal, they were walking by Stereo, and all of these guys, like the Mason guys, were all like, "Oh my god, that's Stereo! That's crazy! That's Stereo!" Like, and these guys are from London, you know. Yeah. Like it's like an internationally known thing, so it's really cool. That
and the dude who designed it passed away.
Oh really?
Yeah, but before he passed away, he designed another place actually near Chabanel.
Really?
Yeah, it's like very low key. It's also like a music studio. They produce in there.
What's it called?
I don't know what it's called, but I know the guy who owns it. And some of my friends DJ there. They do like these underground events with like Jimmy B and shit. And that was the last sound system he designed before leaving, and like same kind of vibe, like fucking clean sound system, but like it's very low key. Like nobody really knows about it.
Bro, no, down to
I was talking to him about that too. I'm like to maybe even do like a live set type of shit there, like
bro.
And like
let's do it,
set.
man.
Yeah, because
very down.
Because like we know that same vibe of music too, right?
Yeah.
You can't like bring like a typical like house DJ there, for example. You know, like you would want like very like deep house, like stereo music. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure, we'll talk about that.
100%.
Other than that, yo, looking forward, like, what are your plans?
I have like WUN-OFF's released like 6 products in the last 2 years. In the next 5 months, we're releasing like 20 products.
Oh shit!
Like we're going turbo mode.
Okay.
Still very limited quantity, but it's by far the most I've ever designed by a landslide. Like I've shifted my focus into being more of an artist and more of a businessman, which has been really great.
Right.
So by far the most we've ever designed, by far the most we've ever manufactured. So I'm learning how to make all kinds of different pieces. You know, we're making a football jersey, we're making anti-slip grip socks like they give you at ISOT. We're making fucking basketball shorts. We're making a crazy cropped hoodie, a compression long sleeve. We're making you know, all kinds of different shit, like this really wide variety of products that I'm really, really, really excited for. So all of that stuff's going to be coming out, and we're going to be coming up with these very hard-hitting marketing campaigns to follow it up and really dictate or really explain the theme of the campaigns well. So I'm just very excited for all of that stuff, man. Dope. And that's starting off like next month pretty much. Like I just got in the first samples for 3 t-shirts that we're coming out with next month, and the samples look really great. So I'm like super excited about that.
Dope. Yeah, I really appreciate yours, like marketing campaigns. Like
Thank you.
Very like new age and like creative, you know. You're like always going outside of the box, but that's how you gotta be. You gotta innovate, you know.
That's it.
And also, would you ever bring back the old school like Adidas the pants that zip into shorts?
Bro, fucking these are pants that zip into shorts, bro.
Bro, I was just talking about that to my friend. I'm like, bro, what happened to those?
Yeah, bro, these are like, it's very big in hiking, like in like all hiking wear
right
you know?
But yo,
when I bring that back, bro, absolutely, man. I designed a pair of pants actually. It's these 3-tier pants.
Yeah.
So it's like a pant that goes all the way down to here, and there's a zipper here, a zipper here, and a zipper here, you know? So you can just wear it whatever length you want.
But can you also just like crack them open? So
of course. These two. Like these two. I'm not wearing the legs right now, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay, sick. I didn't even know they still made those.
Oh, bro, 100%. Yeah. But these I bought in like Japan, you know? Like these are like, so you gotta go find that shit and then bring it back to the more mainstream.
Right. Okay, dope, man. Well, bro, I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, of course, man.
A dope conversation with you, and I'm really looking forward to seeing like what you come up with where WUN-OFF goes.
100%, man. Sure. I'm excited to see what you do with all of this too. I think you're onto something here. You know, I think you're doing it in the right city. There's definitely some very interesting people, and I hope you win, man. I hope
appreciate it, bro. Likewise.
Thank you.